Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be introducing you to a new person that I will be picking apart. So stay tuned and let's find out together who that is going to be. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So you're used to my normal content. Every once in a while we'll have Girl Defined. On the regular we'll have the Transformed Wife because, she can't keep her foot out of her mouth. When I'm ready for a migraine, I'll cover biblical gender roles. Well, last week I covered biblical gender roles, and he had this whole blog on sexism being a virtue and how great it was that Christians were sexist, and it was great and wonderful. Well, he referenced a man by the name of Douglas Wilson, and I did some digging and I found Douglas Wilson's blog. And this guy, well, him and biblical gender roles should just move in together because they are cut from the same cloth. So today we're going to talk about who Douglas Wilson is, and we are going to cover Douglas Wilson's view on sexism in religion. So I went to Douglas Wilson's blog, which is called Blog and My Blog, and I went to the About section on there. And so this is who Douglas Wilson is. Douglas Wilson is a Christian blogger who blogs on Blog and My Blog. Now, he got the name for his blog from the story in Ezekiel 38:14 through 16, which is the story of Gog. That's where the My Blog came from. Cute. Anyway, Wilson states that in his household he is the chief cook and bottle washer. Again, cute. Just cute. But he's been married to his wife Nancy for 40 years. They have 3 children and 17 grandchildren. Please teach your children about contraceptives. Please. For the rest of us. He has written books, he has edited books, and he has contributed to books. Most of his work can be found on Amazon, and since I decided to kind of dig around on him, one of his books is up on Amazon for free right now, so I might actually read it and do a review on it. I wasn't actually going to put any money into it, but since it's free, I will look into that. But he states that the point of the blog is all of Christ for all of life, and for this to happen you need theology that bites back. So pretty much he's just putting it out there that he's a dick. That's it. But here is a picture of Wilson. I went ahead and threw in a picture of a couple of pictures from his blog so that you guys get an idea. I mean, at least he has more balls than biblical gender roles because at least he puts his face out there. His name and his face are out there. You can find this individual. But I'm going to put right here any opinions that I voice, any hate that I voice is my opinion. Do not go out and find this person and throw hate their way. My opinions are my opinions. My views on things are my views on things. things. I'm not wanting people to go out and verbally, physically, or otherwise attack a person. I point out where people say things that are gross, disgusting, or otherwise unattractive or unappealing because I want you to think about things and then choose a point of action for your life, not impede on somebody else's life. With all of that said, let's go into his blog. Now, the blog that I'm covering today is called Restoring Sexism, The Lost Virtue. It is by Douglas Wilson, and he posted it on November 6th of 2019. Now, the first paragraph is going to sound very familiar because this is the paragraph that Biblical Gender Roles opened his blog with. So the Bible is a sexist book. And that fact alone should make Christians want to acknowledge that sexism has to be a virtue. And because the Bible has been assiduously ignored when it comes to these matters for these many years, this should make us realize that it is also a lost virtue. Therefore, it must be renewed and restored and recovered, or perhaps even reupholstered, but how? So then he goes into like his bullet points. So his first bullet point is, this is a football. He starts talking about a Vince Lombardi story, where he talks to the guys after they were beaten, talking about it's time to get back to the fundamentals, and he holds up a football and goes, this is a football. And he kind of uses that as like talking about how you can't muddle with genders, or not genders, but sexes. You know, you can't say that that the football could be like a 6-year-old Asian girl. It's just always going to be a football. But he says, sexism is certainly a sin against the gods of egalitarianism, but those gods are not gods at all. He said they are rather little wisps of aspirational fog floating off the sewage lagoon of late-stage secularism, and so we have no reason to feel bad about committing any such sins. If they are not gods at all, the sins against their commandments are not sins at all. This is where he is just pretty much going in, talking about how muddled things are nowadays, because women want to be equal, but they're not supposed to be, and then everybody's kind of getting bogged down into the transgender, non-binary. But the problem here is, why shouldn't women be equal? If a person wants to be transgendered, what's the problem with it? If a person is non-binary, what's the problem with it? If a person is asexual, what's the problem with it? Where does any of this affect your life whatsoever? They are not forcing their lifestyle onto you. All they are asking is the right to be themselves. Why is that a problem with you at all? If you want to live your 1950s lifestyle to its fullest extent, that is going on inside your household, and it is not impeding on anybody else's life. Why do you care what Joe Blow down the street does? If Joe Blow down the street wants to prance outside in a dress with a beard, who cares? How is Joe Blow doing that down the street impeding on your 1950s lifestyle down here? It's not. Moving on though. He says, the living God has given his word, and nowhere in the word does it say that sexism is a sin against him. And that's the problem. You use this 2,000-year-old book to beat everybody into these boxes. You're beating these round pegs into these square boxes, but they don't fit. They do not fit, and that's the problem. He then goes on to define what culture sees as sexism, but he says it's a virtue in scriptures. He even takes it a step further than that. Like, he says that sexism is a virtue in the Bible, but let's just keep pushing that envelope because it's not that bad. But we push that envelope just one step further, and he tells Christians to stop feeling ashamed. Stop looking around like, stop feeling ashamed of that, and recover that lost virtue of sexism. Be open about it. Be out there with it. Don't be ashamed of it. Be open and out front with it. Because, it's not just disgusting, but you have to put it out there. He then goes on and has these questions. What would such a recovery look like? How might we recover our sexist heritage? And how shall we know when we have recovered it? So then he says the heart and soul of a restored sexism is to recognize that God created men and women with different natures and has commanded us to recognize those natures as different and to treat men and women differently simply because they are men and women respectively. So, yes, he is out there with it. Yes, you have to treat men and women differently, and yes, you have to respect that. He then just adds, there, I said it. He says, he just comes out there with, yeah, I just said that. Like I said, this guy, Douglas Wilson, and biblical gender roles just need to move into the same house. They are pretty much the same guy. So then he goes on to his second point, a primer on boys and girls. So he holds that the differences between the sexes are profound from the tops of their heads to the bottoms of their feet. But this is how he actually says it. He says from the tops of their head down to the soles of their boots or flats. Because, girls can't wear boots. I'm just putting that out there. He then states that the differences affect everything and are in every aspect of life. Why is that? Why does it have to be that? Why must it be that? Like, seriously, you even had to do it down to the shoes. Because, girls can't wear tennis shoes, girls can't wear boots. Why not? Why not? I mean, I'm going to hell right now because I got on blue jeans. I mean, you can't see it from this angle, but I got on blue jeans. So I'm already there. Just saying. Then he goes into healthy cultures. This kills me. He says healthy cultures budget for differences. Healthy cultures teach boys to do things a certain way because they are boys. In the same thought pattern, girls are taught. Oh no, girls are trained. They're not taught. They are trained because they are girls. Now, let's listen to how he says that. Boys are taught because they are boys, but girls are trained because they are girls. Why can't girls be taught? Why do they have to be trained? Are they dogs? Do they not have a capacity to learn? I'm going to leave that there. Then he claims Then his claims go even further because he states that stereotyping is also a virtue along with sexism. Rewind that one. Stereotyping is also a virtue along with sexism. So, when the police do that whole thing that people get pissed off about, the driving while black thing that everybody hates, that's just a virtue. That's not stereotyping. It's a virtue from the Bible because Douglas Wilson said so. Yeah, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. And it doesn't fly here either. It falls flat on its face because why? It is wrong. Just like when people do it for the reasons, like I said, the driving while black, it is wrong to do it just based off of genitalia. It is still wrong. Stereotyping is wrong. Sexism is wrong. But we're going to keep going. Because here comes his third point. What's at stake? So this entire section I'm going to read and we're going to take point by point. Okay? So here we go. Up to this point, I dare say that quite a few conservatives are cheering me on in all such observations because they are currently being appalled by the androgynous endgame. They are horrified by the insanity surrounding restrooms and showers, the bio males competing against girls, and all that kind of thing. And of course, I'm against all that too. Now, let's take this in. He says that conservatives are cheering him on because they're appalled by the androgynous endgame. But why is that? So then he starts giving some examples. They are horrified about the insanity surrounding restrooms. Why? Because people want to be able to use the restroom that they identify with. Or they want a unisex bathroom. They have those in malls already. They've had those in malls since I was in high school and I'm 36 years old. They've had these things called family restrooms where a man can take his child in to the bathroom to use the bathroom. You could have a man and a woman in the same bathroom at the same time because it's a family restroom. But moving on. And showers. I haven't heard anything about showers. That could be something new that I haven't heard about because I've been kind of ignoring things here lately because so much stupidity makes me angry. Bio males competing against girls. Now, I know that the whole transgenders competing in sports has been a hot topic, and I do not at this time have an opinion on that. But I do know that it has been a hot topic, and a lot of people have been weighing in, and a lot of committees have been making judgments on what they should do, shouldn't do, all of that stuff. And like I said, I do not have an opinion on that at this time, and I will not be voicing an opinion at this time. But I shall digress. And all that kind of thing. What kind of other things? And all that kind of thing. That means there's something else. You have to say what else. But you cannot dial these things back, quote, a little bit. If the culture has gone insane, you can't call it a great reformation when you get it back to almost insane. To make this point a little bit clearer, I'm not just talking about Bruno not being able to shower with the junior high girls. I'm also talking about women not being able to go to the Naval Academy or West Point. I'm also saying that they shouldn't be allowed to apply simply because they are female, no other reasons needed. So, stopping right there. You're going to deny a woman the ability to go to the Naval Academy or West Point just because she's a female. Women have fought for this country for a lot longer than it has been documented, because they have dressed as men and have fought. Women have fought for the right to attend the Naval Academy and have fought for the right to attend West Point. Women have fought for the right to be police officers, to be EMS workers, to be firefighters. These women have fought for their rights to do these things and have competed and been better in some instances than their men counterparts. Where in the world do you get off saying that women should be denied the ability to do this just simply based off the fact that they're women? While you, Mr. Douglas Wilson, in your own about section, let me go back one more page, are the chief cook and bottle washer in your own home. Isn't that women's work according to your gender roles, your sexist gender roles in your own book that you're sitting here preaching about? So aren't you going against your own predetermined sexist book? So why should anybody listen to you about who should be denied the ability to apply for something clearly based off of their genitalia? Moving on. Women aren't supposed to be warriors, and so we shouldn't be training them to be warriors. Why is that? You do know that women can endure more pain than a man can, because we do that in giving birth. You do know that, right? Just Google that. Google how much pain a woman endures during childbirth, and then see if you could actually endure that much pain. Yeah, I could help you with that experiment. I can start breaking that many bones for you if you would like. Just saying. He quotes Deuteronomy 22:5. We'll come back to that in a minute. And I know that there will be numerous conservatives, and you can supply your own scare quotes there, who will be upset by this. And it is the kind of conservative who is the problem. This is the kind of conservative who never conserves anything except the most recent progressive achievements. After women were introduced into combat roles, it took Fox News about 5 minutes to start saluting our brave men and women in uniform. Why is that a problem? I don't see your ass on the front line. Are you getting pot shots taken at you? Do you have an IUD, like, trying to blow you up? Do you have some, Islamic extremist trying to kill you every 5 seconds? Oh, you don't? So why is it so bad that people are saluting the brave men and women that are risking their lives every single day to make sure that there are no more terrorist attacks here on our own land? Or have you forgotten what 9/11 was like? Because that was men and women that were killed in those buildings. That was men and women that were killed in those planes. That was men and women that rushed up those stairs in blue and in those fire uniforms. That was men and women that were working in those 911 call facilities, taking those calls. And just take it from a 911 call taker. It's not a good feeling when you hear one of your own is down. Okay? Okay. And they also, without even blinking, routinely show footage of service members returning home from deployment in such a way as to surprise their family members. You know, those heartstrings videos, and they make no distinction whatever between men returning from war and women returning from war. And there should not be a distinction because they are both returning from war. Why should there be a distinction? Here's mom back from Afghanistan. If that doesn't make you sick and angry, then you are an essential part of the problem. Good, thank you. I like being an essential part of the problem. I will take that badge of honor, please. Thank you. You can present it to me yourself. So, that right there just shows you the reason why I, again, will say that Douglas Wilson and BGR should be roommates. Now, like I said, let's go back to tackle this Deuteronomy section that he quoted. Let me pull up my Skeptic's Bible real quick. He quoted Deuteronomy 22:5. Now, Deuteronomy 22:5, it says, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God." So, it has an absurd intolerance here. And that pertaineth unto a man. Women cannot wear men's clothing and vice versa. It's an abomination unto the Lord. So pretty much takes out all pants for women, and, well, you know, the Scots are screwed because kilts are considered skirts, and so that would screw all of them. But, you know, it's just stupid. So let's look at it also has this thing called the top 10 abominations to God. So let's look at what those are. Number 1, lobster, shrimp, clams, octopus, and squids, per Leviticus 11:12. 4-legged fowls, per Leviticus 11:20. 4-footed flying creeping things, per Leviticus 11:23. Whatever crawls on its belly, goes on all fours, or has lots of legs, Leviticus 11:42. Sacrificing a blemished sheep or goat, Deuteronomy 17:1. Women who wear men's clothes, Deuteronomy 22:5. The hire of a whore or the price of a dog, Deuteronomy 23:18, because of course a whore and a dog needs to be in the same sentence. Taking back an ex-wife after she's been defiled, says if you get married and then find that you hate your wife because she's been unclean or something, go ahead and divorce her and kick her out of your house after she's gone. If some other guy marries her and also hates her and divorces her, don't take her back as your wife. It really pisses God off. It's an abomination to him. This is Deuteronomy 24:1-4. The work of a craftsman, Deuteronomy 27:15. And whatever people value the most, like kindness, wisdom, truth, courage, honesty, love, compassion, and beauty, Luke 16:15. So, there's also another thing. It says things on which the Bible and the Quran agree. So, this is another 10-thing list. So, number 1, a woman is worth half as much as a man. Number 2, stay away from menstruating women. Number 3, women must cover their heads and dress modestly. Number 4, insects must have 4 legs. Number 5, God and Satan force non-believers to disbelieve. Number 6, disbelievers should be killed. Go on, try it. Number 7, disbelievers will burn forever in hell. Number 8, don't make friends with disbelievers. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 9, Lot was a just and righteous man. And number 10, God is the creator of evil. I can get behind that one. So those are the things that are closely aligned with this. So that I wanted to point out because I found it funny. Moving on to point 4. We're kind of closing in here, people. I know this is long. Apparently Douglas Wilson and biblical gender roles like to talk a lot. Anyway. Number 4 is the mirror of nature. Now this one kind of got a little interesting because he's talking about how nature mirrors like what you're supposed to do. So this got a little interesting. So in the first part of this section, he talks about how people look to nature for examples of how to explain their position, right? So he first talks about like female robins are the ones that build the nest, while male robins are kind of just hopping around doing whatever they want to do. I thought of another one, lionesses are the ones that go and they kill the food and they bring it back to the lions because the lions are just kind of laying around doing nothing. Women hunters. Just throwing that one out there. He also was talking about like gay penguins, things of that nature. Okay. Well, then he says that is a trap because learning from nature is showing you how much you have not learned. He states that in the case of the robin building the nest, it's an authoritative position because it's equivalent to the woman painting the nursery or hanging curtains. Really, because she's building the entire nest that they are going to live in. That's actually like building the fucking house, you moron. It's not like painting a room in the house or hanging curtains up in the fucking room. She's building the house. Unless, like they have like a mansion kind of fucking nest going on, which doesn't happen in nature. But Douglas also holds that our roles are not assigned to us. He holds that our roles are assigned to us at conception. He says at conception, if you are male, God assigns you the duties of provision and protection. And at conception, if you're a female, you are assigned the duties of bearing children and nurturing them. And then he throws in, and making sandwiches. Fucking douchebag. Because, he has to be a fucking sexist pig. But, hold on a second, I've just lost my spot. Okay. So then he says, we have questions. When there is an odd noise in the basement in the middle of the night, which one should go check? God wants the one with the XY chromosome to go check. When dinner needs to be prepared, who is responsible to do that? Of course, the one with the XX chromosome should do that. Who should take out the garbage? XY. Who should go to war? XY. Who should learn to knit and cross-stitch? XX. But here's the problem with your logic there. In your own about section there, Mr. Douglas, you say you're the chief chef. Like, literally, let me flip over here 2 pages. You say you're the chief cook in your home. So you're going against your own position here. Again, you're talking about chromosomes. So let's talk about chromosomes. There are people that are born with XY chromosomes. There are people that are born with XX chromosomes. There are people that are born with XXY chromosomes. There are people that are born with XY XYY chromosomes. There are people that are born with XXXY chromosomes. There are people that are born with XYYY chromosomes. There are people that are born with all kinds of different combinations of chromosomes. So then, if you have all of that going on, who goes checks out the noise in the basement? Who's going to cook dinner? Who's going to go to war? Who's going to change the baby's diaper? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that based off their chromosomes? Oh, you don't know the answer to that question, do you? Didn't think so. So as the well goes up over the land, these commandments are not to be borne. How can we be expected to bear it? Are there no expectations, no qualifications? Well, not in November anyway. He's got some creepy thing about November that I'm just not understanding, but whatever. The accusation comes, you would turn back the clock. You would once again trap women in the miserable conditions they suffered in the 50s, the condition from which feminism liberated them. He said, no, I am afraid you have misidentified where all that misery actually is. And that right there, like, seriously, if this could only happen, we need to get like a house. Transform life, biblical gender roles, Douglas Wilson, stick them all there. They would be perfectly content. Perfectly content. All their fucked up views, one house. Cut the internet though. They couldn't have any internet. No internet for them. So then he ends out this blog with a title, Eggs Are Expensive, Sperm is Cheap. Apparently this is a book title by a guy named Greg Kerbel. I'm probably horribly pronouncing that. But of course Douglas is recommending this book, and that's the first paragraph underneath this is where he's like shilling this book. Well, the reason why he's shilling this book is because when you go to Amazon and you look at this book, the first recommended book under it is Douglas's book. I wonder why. Well, it's because this guy's book is the male's perspective for politically incorrect mindsets. I wonder why the first book under that would be Douglas's book. Anybody? Okay. So, Douglas holds a belief that if you disobey the requirement of Scripture in reference to sex roles, you're disobeying your body. He believes that women who reject motherhood are just rejecting a law from outside them, but they not only rejecting the law from outside of them, but they are also rejecting a law from within them. Or they could just not want to have children. Anybody thought of that? They could just not want to raise children. In this day and age, they may not be in a financial state to want to have children. They may not be in a mental state to want to have children. They may come from fucked up genetics and they don't want to pass it on. Have you ever thought of that? There are several reasons in this day and age to not want to have children. Have you looked at the world outside? Do you want to raise children in this world? It's difficult. You could also come from a family that has several medical conditions and you don't want to pass it on. If I would have known half this shit about myself before I started having children, I probably would have made the decision not to have children. But moving on. Douglas even takes this jab one step further by taking a jab at feminists. He says that feminists are rejecting who they are. And they reject it so hard that they are brittle, angry, and miserable. He says that they are fighting a battle on several fronts. They're fighting a battle from without. They're fighting a battle from within. And that is the reason why that feminists are angry and miserable. And that's the reason why they are so mad all the time. No, they're so mad all the time because of asswipes like you. You are the reason why people like me and feminist and everybody else gets pissed off and wants to take your head off because you say stupid shit like this blog. Just saying. So then Douglas has a stance on men too. He says men who do not fulfill their roles as protectors are miserable. Okay. On the other hand, because men are protectors, they are also expendable. So they're either miserable or expendable. Like, where's anybody happy in this scenario? That's what I want to know. He says, the sacrifice is at the heart of the code of any true man of honor. But here's the thing. And this pretty much ends it all. He says, like, one last thing, and then he's kind of just, like, shilling off a whole bunch of Bible verses. And then he has, like, a giveaway deal, and nobody cares. But here's the question. I've read this entire blog and didn't want to blow my brains out. The question comes down to, who actually ends up happy in any of this? You want women to be back in the 1950s mindset where they have no rights, no happiness, no outside life, no education, no ability to do anything without their husband's permissions, no rights, no anything. But on the other hand, you have the men being the protectors and expendable and all weight on them, everything's on them. So who ends up happy in this scenario? Nobody. Because you're bringing up the next generation to be just as miserable as the previous generation. And nobody's going to end up in a better situation. So, what do you want anybody to do? Of course, nothing. So, Douglas Wilson is going to be on my radar. Like, I'm going to be going through here, picking out some more examples of just where he is going to be a problematic person. I'm surprised I haven't heard about him before now. Because I'll be expecting more of this. Send headache meds. So in the comment section down below, let me know what you think of this article, because I actually think this article was worse than biblical gender roles, because he's just out there. I mean, he literally said, there, I said it. I mean, he's proud of this idea. Few points before I get to them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell. But here are a couple of points before I close out this video. I have started a Patreon. I will have that link in the description box. I'm trying to upgrade this channel for you guys, get some new lighting, get a better camera, better microphone, things of that nature. But since I do not get paid by YouTube and my paycheck goes to running my house, the only way I'll be able to upgrade things will be through my Patreon. So there are 4 tiers right now. I think 4 tiers. 4 tiers on my Patreon right now. If you can, please go and show support on there. I will have exclusive things for you guys on Patreon. So check that out. Also, my videos will be here on YouTube and on BitChute, so you guys can check them out here or there, whichever one is easier for you guys. And the links for my BitChute are in the description box, along with the Patreon link, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my link for Minds, which is also a free social media website. So if you want to, you can check that out. And if you do, come subscribe to me over on Minds, and you will know everything that's going on. And that is all of that for now. That's going to do it for today, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.